Sitting on my porch here with my friend Matt Thornton, who has flown over from the UK to visit with me for the day. And I gotta say, it's the first time in my business career in the water business that I've had a visit like this from such an amazing man who. How did you find me anyway?
How did I find you?
I know we connected on Facebook when we first met.
I think, the journey connects us some way. In some way, I can't remember how I found you, if I'm being honest with you. You just get connected with who's resonating with where you are. And I gave you a call, didn't I? Just called you up.
Yeah.
I called you up because I was really surprised. I thought, this is a London number. Maybe he's based in London. I have no
Oh
idea.
yeah, because I had the London phone number. That's
so
right.
I called you up and you answered, and I thought, well, where are you? In London? So I was really surprised. But we had a great little chat a few months ago, didn't we? And I said I'd be coming out at some point, didn't know when.
And here you are. You did it.
We are, and we've chosen. And he said as well, what's really beautiful as well, he said, I said I could probably get a hire car and come down from Boston. And he said, no, take the boat. There's two options. So I got on the boat today, and it was like a mill pond out there. It was fantastic, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. It's still pretty much like that. And always when you're flying in as well, it's quite tiring, it's, especially we arrive late at night for my time as well, but then something about getting on the water, getting amongst nature, getting the breeze in your hair, and then coming here, drinking great water, which I have to be honest, the best gift anyone can I've already said this, anyone give me if I land anywhere or arrive anywhere is beautifully structured water.
I met Matt at the boat this morning, and I gave him a Vitajoule Infinity bottle filled with beautifully structured water, and that got us off on a pretty good note. So, Matt, there's something that you and I have discovered about water and love and life, and I don't think a lot of people see water or life that way, and I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about what water means to you, and what do you think is going on with humanity and our relationship to water. Just anywhere you want to talk about it, any direction you want to go.
That's a really powerful question, and it's almost, I probably wouldn't do it justice speaking in words. I just want to go back a little bit actually before I answer that. As we were discussing that, all I needed in life was a porch and a view, and you've given me a porch and a view. You've asked me that question. I feel fulfilled. There is something about water that gives me complete fulfillment. We're asking, what is it I do? I said I give people experiences of water's true nature. Now, what actually is water's true nature? There's probably very few people who understand that. In fact, probably no one truly understands water's true nature, certainly at the moment. And maybe water in its essence is unknowable. However, to me, water is the greatest teacher that I've ever had. And I've had some great teachers and great mentors, but I believe that it's water that guides me into finding all these great teachers and all the wisdom. Where I am now with what is water and what does it mean to me is it's a journey you go on. It's a flow that you go on. And it leads you to essence of nature of your own being and understanding the true nature of life. And I can only say it. It's very hard to put into words, but you have this essence and this experience and this knowing within you about water, especially when you're drinking beautiful water. All water is beautiful, for that matter. And I feel, to me at the moment, it's a journey of where I am in my own journey at the moment is understanding the nature of light, the nature of sound, the nature of being, the nature of information that's contained in that, and trying to balance it. And what does it truly mean to be human, and why is it that we are water-based beings?
Yeah, it's everywhere. Like when you see a tree, do you see water?
It's a frozen fountain.
Right.
So it is a magnificent structure of structured water, and it's like Victor Schauberger said. Newton. It's how we ask questions, and when you see the tree differently, instead of asking why did the apple fall from a tree, if he said that at all, Newton was a genius, but is asking a different question: how did the apple get there in the first place? And when you can map out that journey or intuitively know what that journey is,
Yeah.
that gives amazing insights.
Yeah.
Where I am right now, actually, what I'm going to be doing a talk at the end of this month on the shape of prayer. And what has that got to do with water? And it all goes down to the nature of the human voice and why we have a voice and why we have a unique voice. Where does the voice originate from? Where does the sound originate from? What creates a sound in the human being? From where do words originate from? We have a friend here.
I don't know if you guys can see the bumblebees in the video, but we're getting kind of serenaded with some sound healing from their wings today. I've had experiences with bumblebees on this property before, but never a conversation where they were so much a part of it. And literally, they've been hovering 2 or 3 feet away from us for
Less than that.
Yeah.
There's been one around you for a couple of inches around from you.
Yeah,
It's
there's one right behind your head.
They come along, check us out, maybe feed us some information. Maybe I'm not talking here. I'm being bee-fed. Going back to it, it's like it's the nature of language and the nature of where did language originate from, how language has evolved. You could say one of the most powerful things is in the beginning was the word. What does that really mean? I think we're just tapping into understanding the nature and the wisdom and the power of that actual, and the beauty of that one line. And so what my talk's all about is the shape of prayer. What is a prayer for a start? And I think prayer, the understanding of prayer, I'm not saying I fully understand it, but it's a journey I'm going on to where I'm at, and all I can share is where I'm at and where I'm going to. And it's water that's guided me to this. Is prayer has been, in the Western world, it's something that's been lost. Where its true essence is the nature of being human and conversing with something much greater than who we are. And it's not only is it the voice of the words themselves, but the sound of the words, the quality of the sound, but the meaning and the intent from which they're being spoken. So it's the energy behind the prayer.
Yeah.
And I think, certainly languages, Hermes speaks a lot about it as well, about how language, the ancient Egyptians were very advanced in their thinking. And as races come along, we get language, and we build up on language and language and language. And languages evolve in a different way. It becomes very much more you and I, more separative. But there's some great, and it's Dr. Ibrahim Karim taught me about this, is the nature of sound and how they use sound and language. Now we map it into water, and how you can see how water reacts to, instantaneously, to not only thought, intent, but words and prayer. And you can see not only through Dr. Emoto's work, which was fantastic, very pioneering, bringing the invisible visible, and you can see the effects both before and after a prayer. And it's the purity of the thought, the purity of the words, and it's the purity of the invocation, you could say, if it's an invocation, that has the most powerful effect. So combining that with if you look at John Stuart Reid's work, in fact he's doing a talk on the 5th of May. It's a 21 days of sound, people speaking on sound. It's online. I'll give you the link later on, actually. And he's speaking on the 5th, which is a couple of days' time. He developed this instrument called the cymoscope, and he's a sound engineer. So it's like cymatics, but it's now can be used almost as a scientific instrument. Now, as we all know, some of us need science to believe in it. That's fine. I get that. I try and balance it. I try and balance it with the technology, the environment, the artistic, the mystical, the indigenous, and the consciousness side, as well as science. So science is always catching up and giving us a linear explanation of what is. But the cymoscope can react instantly to sound and vibration and give you those beautiful patterns instantly. And he's taken amazing photographs of the sound and vibration of stars, of human voices, valves. But also he's working at the moment and I haven't seen this, but I know because I was speaking to him not so long ago, is the beauty of language, and especially indigenous languages, especially First Nations languages. And you can see the qualitative difference between that language and something like English?
Since I started becoming aware of that stuff, I have noticed that I'm much more discerning about my word choices, and that I can feel the energy of words more. And so there's certain words I just don't want to articulate anymore. You know, one of the easiest and funniest ones that's used everywhere is like people say, yeah, I did this, it was really incredible. And what they're saying is incredible, cred, like not believable. And so they speak that something they did was amazing to them, and then they invalidate it by saying, and it wasn't true. It's not credible. And so I started noticing things like that, and I really care now about the words that I choose, and I feel the energy of words. And so, you know, between Emoto's work and life experience, it just makes me want to continue to refine and upgrade my word choices. These bees are amazing. This one's like a foot above my head right now while we're talking.
They are fantastic. I really resonate with what you're saying, and it is water that has taught me the use of my own language, and the creative power of words. And words are simply the most powerful communicative tools we can have. There's a tribe out in Africa, and one of my great mentors, William Whitecloud, took me out to the Kruger last year, and we were talking about various languages out there and the way people communicate. And it's very rude out there to interrupt anyone speaking. It's just not done. Culturally, it's not done. And when someone's finished speaking, they have a saying, I can't remember what it is, excuse me, but it translates to, wow, that's the truth. So you allow someone always to say what they're going to say, and gives you complete presence when they're saying it. And as the words hit you, it's complete, wow, that's the truth.
Wow.
Whereas here, we're always kind of interested in what we're going to be saying next, perhaps. We're not really present with our words and our thoughts. And so we're always trying to break the silence with our own egoic thought system.
It's part of what got me going on my transformational journey, is that it was so painful living inside my own head because I couldn't listen to anyone, because I was so worried about what I was going to say next. I could never listen. And so I went to Landmark Education, and they say anything you want and for yourself in the world can be created here. I'm like, okay, I want to have a breakthrough in listening. I'm like, okay, you'll have a breakthrough in listening here. I'm like, all right, what do I do? They gave me a job sitting in a hallway by myself, checking people in, and then they went into a seminar where there was a very rich conversation going on, and I'm in the hallway by myself for 3 hours with nobody to talk to or listen to. And I laughed and surrendered and had a breakthrough in listening.
Patrick and I have been sharing a few stories, and Patrick makes me laugh. And it's not that I'm trying to laugh at him at all. It's just that I resonate with the stories he comes out with. That I have similar stories myself. And it's interesting we talk about listening, because Emoto would talk about this as well. Because the master listener of everything is water. It creates it reflects back to you everything.
Do you know about the Carl Pribram studies on memory?
I know the name, I can't remember it.
1950s, he cut out parts of rats' brains.
That's right.
And he determined it didn't matter which part of the brain you cut out. You could cut out every different part at a different time. The rat would still have memory. So the conclusion is that memory is not in the brain.
Correct.
And I would suggest it's in the water. We have proof of that, right? Like Emoto gave us proof that water has memory, but we don't have proof that the brain has memory.
I think we can go a little bit further on that front. It's maybe not the water that has the memory. The water is the conduit. It is the messenger that allows memory to come forward.
Interesting.
And that certainly the Russians are leaning towards and suggesting. I think they need more evidence for this. Certainly Korokov. I'm going to see him actually in July in St. Petersburg, and to he has a wonderful science and consciousness conference every single year, and he does his bioworld teaching over there, which hopefully I'm going to get to if my visa comes through. So thank you. They are suggesting that water is the physical matrix for consciousness in the body and nature and all of the cosmos, the universe. And obviously water is to think of it as we've always thought about it, purely as a hydrating. You know this. You know, it's just so astronomically limiting. And when we think of it from a more quantum aspect, it becomes much more understandable. That's not to say it's completely understandable at the moment. I think in its essence it might even be unknowable, almost like energy. But we shall see. It takes you on a journey where you have an immense amount of knowing. So I think I can learn so much from you as well, from where water science is at the moment, and the acceleration and what's being effectively proven, the science of consciousness, the science of water, and how the two fields are very much integrated. It's a very exciting time.
It is. We're being led, and we're beginning to understand. And
I think who was it? I think it was Luc Montagnier said that the next 100 years, the study of science will all be about water.
well, this is the age of Aquarius, right?
Yeah, but it's fantastic when someone who's qualified like that will make a statement that hopefully it would wake up an enormous amount of people to take note. I think it's very exciting times, and I must say whilst I'm here, is I'm really blessed to meet Patrick. I think he has a beautiful, this is a congratulation to you, I think you have a beautiful way of articulating some rather complicated things in very simple, understanding and meaningful ways, which is what is needed.
You know, one of the things that I've noticed about science and corporations, and when I was a financial advisor, was if somebody told me inside the firm what conclusion they wanted me to make, I could go get the data that would make that conclusion. So you tell me what presentation you want me to give the client, and then I could go get that data that says that. And it's always possible. And so that's the way I experience the scientific method, is that it finds data to prove itself. And so what I'm interested in is things that make individuals that I interact with, their lives better. So if somebody's life gets better because they start drinking structured water, or showering, or gardening with, or immersing their life in structured water, and I've seen that in thousands of people, then that matters to me more than what science can or can't say about what water's true nature is. So I know we're on the right path, because when I sold water filters, there just wasn't the reaction that there is from helping people activate the physics of water. And so I see similar things when people do yoga or different breath works, or the Tai Chi that you teach, or various things. But the important thing for me is that when there's an energetic aspect to the experience, then it seems that those things make a bigger difference in people's lives. And the breakthrough here is that there are energetic aspects available in water that people didn't know about, right? We're never going to get the energy of water out of a plastic bottle that's bottled for profiteering and trucked spewing carbon and stuck in plastic that's emitting toxins. Look at that bee, you guys. It's just never, it's never going to be there. Since I picked Matt up at the boat, we've had kind of this floating, it's almost a mystical day. Like it's just a floating experience. We've been in my garden. We went to a farm and pet some sheep. We went down to the wharf. We've been around the ocean, and it kind of just feels like these bees are a manifestation of the flowing energy that we're experiencing today.
I think so. We went to the little farm as well, and kind of interacted with the sheep and the piglets and the horses there as well. And it's all that natural, and the bees are coming out. So we spent a little bit of time amongst the trees and talking about trees as well. So there's a lot of powerful energy, natural energy that helps the wisdom to come through.
I think so, and I think that's I think we're getting at something here. It's like when the backdrop of your life is held in a gorgeous bottle like this, right? When you're when you're immersing yourself in living vibration, which is what we're doing, right? We've shared essential oils today. We shared living food, right? Picking asparagus and kale right off the vines,
It was so awesome.
right?
It was amazing.
And patting the noses of sheep. You know, these free will creatures are choosing to come up to us and sniff our hands. These natural experiences leave me feeling good about myself, leave me feeling like this bee is now almost on my hand and there it goes. Leave me feel like I'm discovering and being the real me when I'm having experiences like that. And it's such a contrast to the experiences that I have with watching TV or, you know, shopping in a conventional market in packaged food and, you know, just all the normal things people do as part of the culture.
This is, I want to touch on something here that inspired me to say actually, is because we look at silence and noise and the purpose, again, of how natural sounds resonate with human being. And to me, any unnatural noise is how we... any noise that's man-made or not in harmony with natural laws will take man away from the truth.
Yeah.
Because we're only now beginning to understand from a medical and a scientific point of view the effect of sound within the human body. And John Stuart Reid talks a lot, but he's not the only one. He's just brilliant with what he does, and he's very, very kind to sound. And so when you look at sound, you look at the sounds in nature, the sheep and the llama and the piglets and the bees and the sound. It takes you into that moment of silence. And I am one who believes now, well, my current belief system is we're not here to think at all. We're here to receive thought and then act on it.
Wow, I love that. I so love that. And what you're saying is really resonating with me. And it's why I know we keep talking about these bees, but you guys, it's a pretty remarkable experience to be sitting having a 20-minute conversation and having bees constantly flying right around you. And you know what, because I've tuned in to natural rhythms and to sound healing, I'm looking to my right now. You guys can't, well, let's see if I can get it here. And, you know, here's this bee hovering 2 or 3 feet away from me. And I think that the sound of its wings, put you guys on the ocean for a minute. I think the sound of its wings is giving me an energy that is stimulating my authentic self, that is helping me uncover and unveil and be who I'm here to be. And I know that that's hard to explain, but it just makes sense to me.
I look at sound as well, and you look at planet Earth with its atmosphere, and sound only happens in atmospheric conditions. So why is it, you know, what is planet Earth? It's an auditorium of sound. It's a cacophony of sound. Mm-hmm. And so the human voice, through the vocal cords and all the shapes of the back, Steiner speaks a lot about this, is once it's trained, can make any of the sounds in the universe. And I believe as you say, the sound of the bee, once you start to listen and you become conscious of the sound of the wind rustling in the trees, you know, an insect flying past or a bird or something like that, or even a human voice for that matter. It brings you to the context in which it is made. Yeah. And understanding that planet Earth is an auditorium. It's the most magnificent auditorium of sound.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty amazing.